Welcome back to New England Living. Up next, we visit a famed local property just minutes from Boston. Karla Rosenstein is a site manager for the Eustis Estate in Milton, Massachusetts, an historic New England property.
Historic New England is the largest and oldest regional heritage organization in the country. We are a group that preserves the homes that people of New England lived in, preserves the objects that they used, and we share those stories with the public. We own 38 properties throughout New England, and they range from the 17th century up until the 20th century.
The Eustis Estate sits on a stunning 80 acres of land at the base of the Blue Hills.
The Eustis Estate was built for next-door neighbors who fell in love and got married in 1876. They had twin boys, Frederick and Augustus, in 1877, and in 1878, Edith's mother, Mary Hemingway, gifted them the 200 acres of property in between the two grandmas to build this beautiful estate for this new family.
That is a very nice present.
Yes, no kidding. Not the home most newlyweds start out with. The home was designed by William Ralph Emerson, who was an up-and-coming architect at the time. It's 18,000 square feet. So there's 3 floors plus the basement. There are 14 fireplaces, 6 chimneys, so there's quite a lot of space in the house for sure. The exterior architecture is what's known as Queen Anne Revival style, but this incredible stonework that you see on the outside is very unique, even for his style, and most of it was quarried locally and created this incredible polychromatic stonework on the outside. And the interior architecture is what's known as the aesthetic movement, so everything is highly decorative and draws a lot of inspiration from nature. This is one of the best preserved examples in Boston of that style.
The architecture of this home, was this pretty standard for 1878 here in New England?
This actually was a pretty modern house. At the time, their visitors would have found this almost shockingly modern, especially the interior. The interiors were done all by Boston craftsmen, and they were really at the height of this style. They were creating some of the best work of the time. It really does have a very particular to Boston feel to it that is really unique, especially in how well it's been preserved. When you go inside, it feels like you've stepped back into the 19th century. Things have been beautifully restored to their appearance when the house was built, so it gives you this sense of what it was like to be here when the family was here. And one of the things that's so unique about this historic house is that we invite you to make yourself at home. So you actually can sit down on the furniture, you can read books in the library, you can take in the house as if you were living there or visiting there, and it really gives you a totally different perspective and feels like you've gone back to this other time.
Michaela Nero is an objects conservator for Historic New England and helps preserve properties like the Eustis Estate. What types of special skills are required for your job?
Knowing about lots of materials, that's the number one. I was trained as an objects conservator as opposed to, say, a paintings conservator or a textile conservator. But in my time here at Historic New England, even my broad category of objects has increased to include things like wallpaper or sometimes textiles, upholstery, gilded frames.
Here in a house that was built in the 1870s, what are some of the challenges that you might face?
There's a lot of wood in this house, you may have noticed, and wood is varnished but then usually waxed also to protect it, and it's just a lot of surface area to clean and then re-wax. Other challenges here are all the different fireplaces made out of different materials, terracotta, carved wood, tile. This house is different than a lot of our other sites in that guests can come and sit on the furniture, so of course that leads to a little more damage.
As an objects conservator, I'm sure you're very busy in this house because there are a lot of objects, this chair being one of them. What is the history of this piece?
Well, this is called a Scabello chair. It's an Italian Renaissance design. This is from the Renaissance Revival. The Revival period was the period of this house, the late 1800s. And they're really meant to be more decorative than comfortable, as you might notice. And they're meant to be displayed in the hall. On these chairs, I've repaired them several times. They have all these little delicate features that can break. And so here we have the detached piece. It is a previous repair, and this is a major component of conservation, that we want to use adhesives that are weaker than the material of the object. So if there's another break, it breaks on the old break instead of making a new break in the material. Very few things are beyond repair.
Whether she's fixing antique furniture or preserving exotic birds, Michaela relies on a few fundamental techniques.
People might not have peacocks in their homes, but what's some advice you would give to them for cleaning objects that they want to keep in good shape?
Well, this technique of using a brush and brushing into a vacuum is so useful. I really employ this technique on almost everything. You always want to dust anything first, remove that surface dirt that can be abrasive before going into any kind of wet cleaning methods. So any intricate carving you might have in your house, or even the bottom edge of a gilded frame, anything small that your little brush would fit into that maybe your vacuum wouldn't, is what to use this method for.
With a historic home, the challenge really is being able to match some of these historic finishes and materials. So taking that time to restore all the individual elements can help it all come together in a really incredible way.
Coming up after the break, Chef Tyler Stout joins me in the test kitchen when New England Living returns.